Jonathan, tell us a little about you.
Just thought I'd join in and listen to you guys. KM6BXR, John, nice to meet all you guys.
Great, glad to have you. Welcome. What area are you in?
I am in the Carlsbad area.
Okay, great. A lot of us are in North County. Myself are in Oceanside. So yeah, welcome. Great to have you. Just another reminder, those of you who haven't done so already, please change your name to your first name and your call sign, just so we can get record keeping later on, and make sure everybody gets their points for this that will be used for the drawings at the picnic. Any other visitors first time here? All right, how about brand new hams just got licensed? Or license upgrades?
I did a license upgrade back the end of June. It's kind of old news now, but I didn't mention it last meeting, but I thought I would this time.
All right, well, great. What are you now?
General.
General, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
If anybody has friends who are interested in becoming licensed, or if you want to upgrade, there's a couple of brand new ham classes, technician classes coming up. One is this Saturday. The other one, I don't have the date right in front of me, but it's going to be in September, so another month. They're being held in Pacific Beach, actually at my church, Pacific Beach United Methodist. So contact Jay Goldberg, just Google San Diego ham classes for info on that. If you want to have any friends who you want to get licensed, or if you want to do an upgrade, they can usually accommodate upgrades after the technician class. All right. Announcements. Well, that was one of them. Another one is the picnic is coming up on Saturday, September 25th. Really hoping that COVID stuff doesn't make us have to cancel that for any reason. Coming back to in person, like, because that's outside, that shouldn't be a problem.
I've already bought the ketchup and mustard, so we can't cancel it.
All right. Because it's outside, I don't foresee an issue, knock on wood. In-person meetings, on the other hand, boy, I'm seeing a lot of not requirements or restrictions, but the suggestions are backpedaling quite a bit. I went into Lowe's the other day, and all of the employees are required to wear masks again, regardless of their vaccination status. So I don't honestly see us getting back to in-person meetings anytime soon, unfortunately. I would hate to come back to an in-person meeting and then immediately after have to go back to completely online. So we will, and I haven't even talked about this to the board yet, because this is in the last couple of days that this has come up. But as far as right now, I don't see us going back to in person for September, or boy, we've already got the October auction planned. We'll have to talk about that at the board meeting and figure out what we're going to do. So keep your eyes on the scope for the auction information for October. One way or another, we will have an auction. It just might be online, like we did it last year via Zoom.
If everybody had gotten the Pfizer vaccine, we wouldn't be talking about that. It's the only vaccine that is certified to be 100% effective.
Maybe we'll get in.
It's made by the same company that makes Viagra, and they can resuscitate a dead body.
All right. Any other announcements or questions or comments for the good of the order? All Committee chair reports. Mark, do you want to say anything, or are you going to pretty much cover everything during your main presentation?
Just make me last, and we'll go from the committee report straight into the presentation.
Okay.
And
that
everybody's going to talk during the presentation tonight. It's not going to be a big show.
Sure. Okay. That leaves Glenn with membership.
Okay. Well, I actually sat down and entered the data for 11 people. Some were, let's see, 3 were brand new members. James got his technician license back in early June, and so that's his first year free with us. There's a woman named Brenda that doesn't have her license yet, and but she's joined the club. And Jim Tiffany is new also. And anyway, that brought us up when I first looked at the website. It said we were down to 140 members, and so putting all these in, some of which were late paying it, so they showed as not being up to date. But with those in there, we're now back to 152 members.
Okay, thanks for that, Glenn. And just a reminder, we do have the ability on the website to set up automatic payments via PayPal. So every year it'll automatically ding you and send us your dues. But you can also still do it manually for year by year. And we maintain the PO Box 73 in Vista. So you can send a check the old snail mail way. Whatever's most convenient for you, we'll accept that money to keep doing the good work that we're doing up on the mountain, keep the lights on, as it were, and keep these repeaters available for all of the services that we support. There's several items that have been donated to the club, and we're going to be trying to move. John Quivinen is not sitting there, so I guess he can't talk about it.
There goes his cat, though.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, Mark, if you notice John there later, and he can make any comments about stuff that we need to liquidate, that'd be great.
Well, I also had myself. We had a ham up here in Valley Center who is moving to be next to kids and so on and so forth. So I've got some old like World War II receivers, transceivers, military stuff that was previously shipboard. And I now understand the term boat anchor even better because I had to move it. Some of that stuff is amazingly heavy. Charlie, I found a transformer that was as good as the one on that Alpha Linear. And moved it. So it's in, because the club ran out of storage room, it's in my storage area, along with 2 more great big boxes of vacuum tubes. So it just hasn't been an urgent priority to get anything done with it.
Okay. Thanks, Mark. Well, then I will go ahead and do the board introduction, and then I'll turn it back over to Mark for the committee, the repeater and site report, and into the presentation. So your board in 2021 continues to be Mark, KF6WTN, is repeater site and technical chair. Keith, CAM6CXW, is your scope editor, who would greatly appreciate any articles, paragraphs, pictures, anything that you can send to him to include in the scope. We love to see what members are doing. Your directors are Chris, KD9LF, and Ron, AJ6FQ. Your membership chair is Glenn, AI6RR, who you heard from. Your treasurer is Jim W, K2VO. Your secretary is Jim C, W6TQS. Your vice president is Charlie, NN3V, who you heard from, and he would appreciate any meeting topic suggestions that you can come up with. Even if it's something you want to present on, fantastic. If it's something you heard somewhere else, that's great too. If it's just a topic that you would be interested in knowing more about, let us know so that we can find someone to enlighten us.
I have
And
a
I am
comment.
Joe, your president, K6JPE. With your comment?
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
We've asked for inputs on meeting topics month after month for many months. If I ever get a suggestion for a meeting topic, I will buy a beer for the person who sent me the topic.
All right. Alcohol's on the table. Great. All right. Bob, I have a feeling AK6R is going to be presenting soon.
Oh, of course I will.
Or asking for topics. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Fantastic. Once again, the August meeting of Palomar Amateur Radio Club, and I will turn it over now to Mark, KF6WTN. Go ahead.
Okay, well, before we get into the actual meeting tonight, and Kevin, I see you there. Hopefully you're organized. Right now you're muted. Just tell me that you're ready to go whenever.
I am ready to go. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to cover a little bit of other stuff first, okay?
Yeah, we may have to go through a couple of technical steps here because this is the first time that I'm using Zoom on a Windows machine. I have the ICOM software running in the background and I'm connected to the 7300 at UCSD. I don't see that I'm able to share a screen yet in the user interface. So,
Well,
so
you get a while to play with it. Let me know. I'm going to, do my little song and dance up
all
here.
right.
Okay.
So, all right. Very well. So I'm going to mute myself and I'm going to listen to you and then we'll figure this out. Okay.
All right.
I see now. Okay. Very well. Okay.
Okay. So, to let you guys know, it seems like the only thing a lot of the club has anything to do is this general meeting, and that's it. But there are a lot of us who have been going up and down the mountain. Seems lately pretty much constantly 2-3 times a week now. And we had an old member from years ago donate a little bitty tower to us. Let me see if I can get a picture of it. We'll put it over here.
It's in the Dropbox.
Well, I've got a drawing first, but thank you. So that's the tower. Because first, can anybody see that picture?
See?
Okay.
Yes.
It's your average little 70-foot, 2-foot tower. It looks a little like this. That on the top, that's so pretty there, that's not a flagpole. That's a bent pole on a rotor. This thing was exposed to enough wind that it ripped the antenna off the top of the tower. Didn't hurt the tower at all. Ripped the antenna off the tower and laid it in the brush. There's the base with the hoisting mechanism to lower it down. And let me see, we'll do maybe 1 or 2 more pictures. See what these are. Oh yeah, we got a new impact wrench for ripping all of these bolts out. And this tower is now down. And Glenn, I don't know if you have any pictures of the tower down. You have that one picture of me.
I think if you just go through what's there, these are my pictures from our first trip up there.
Oh, I thought these were John's.
Well, I'm not sure where John put his, which he probably did put them up there because I saw the Dropbox telling me it was more full.
It's not full. There's like 2 terabytes. Anyway. So, like I said, we've got this tower, and I am going to be asking for help from the club. You see this 4 foot by 4 foot by, you can't tell, but it's a little over 8 foot deep block of concrete underneath this thing. I'm not going to be able to lift that out of there, but we're going to be building another one for the concept of putting in a remote HF base station on our property someday. And the first step was get the tower, get the permits from the county, get the hole dug and filled with concrete. The road's pretty good now. We can actually get little tow behind cement mixers, enough to drop concrete in there. The tower is in a place on our property where it's not going to be too much in the way for getting vehicle access in and out. It's kind of off to the side a little bit. So that's what we've been up to lately. The previous up to lately was getting a 10 megabit per second internet link via microwave at about 4.8 something gigahertz down to Valley Center. From Valley Center, it goes via AT&T fiber. I think we've got pictures of it too. Anyway, it goes via AT&T fiber into the world of the internet. So so we now have internet up there. This coming week, well, last month, I said we were going to shut off the phone service. One of the problems with cell phones on the top of the mountain from our site is that you can see every single cell tower in San Diego County, and it confuses the cell phones. But if you get back a little ways towards the buildings, I've got Wi-Fi functional, and most of the cell phones can make Wi-Fi calls. So you can make Wi-Fi calls. The reason why we had to have a telephone up there is in case anybody does get hurt, we want to be able to call 911 or whatever, at least notify next of kin. We did have a little fun the first day we were moving the tower. You could hear thunder all around. We didn't see any lightning, but I don't know, you guys noticed there's been those thunderheads over Mount Palomar. We were there for them. I told them that great big tower is like a giant bug zapper, and as soon as it gets too close, we're all leaving. So, but fortunately, we were able to finish everything we wanted to do. So as usual, our repeaters, I should pull up some of our pictures. As usual, our repeaters are up and functioning just fine. So has anybody not seen the pictures of the inside of the repeater buildings and things that I showed like 2 meetings ago? Does anybody not know those? By the way, this is an interactive meeting, so feel free to jump in. Okay, nobody cares, or nobody answers, or nobody's awake. One of the above.
It'd be nice to see them if there's somebody else that wants to see them too.
Yeah,
Go ahead and show them.
Yeah, I'd like to see him.
All right, let me see what I can do. Let me see if I can get something.
You have brand new pictures that just got loaded into Dropbox under random photographs in the technical file. I had no other access or anything.
Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Find a specific place that the pictures belong.
Well, let me, I said just put them in there with JPEG photos, so
Yeah,
let me grab them. Let me see, W6NWG, nothing works good.
You should be able to search by date.
Nope, same ones, tower pics. Where did you hide them?
In the technical section under random photographs.
Random pictures. Okay. So we'll see. I haven't seen these. Oh, well, these are That was last year's or 2 years ago. That was our cleanup. By the way, in case nobody's seen it, Glenn brought a picture. Hey, hi, Joe. Tonight is a participatory meeting. In case you guys didn't know, somebody, none of us, came up and put a ladder on the side of this building. It's been there for a couple of weeks. Nobody knows whose ladder. It wasn't anybody in the club that we're aware of. So we folded it up. It was a beautiful ladder. Hasn't been left outdoors in the rain or anything. So we folded it up and put it in the storage building. We're going to see if anybody shows up to claim it. And then we're going to ask what they were doing putting a ladder on one of the repeater buildings in the first place. So, John, do I dare ask how many pictures? 41 pictures. Maybe that's my desk.
No, it's about 8 pictures, 9 pictures, something like that.
So look for
I just left them with the, it's like 133.08 JPEG something.
Yeah, Mark, he just added pictures to ones that were already in that folder.
Oh,
so.
all right. I went by date. Oh, these are the ones I put up there. That's for those who aren't familiar with the technology. There's a really interesting device that we put on our outputs. And what it does is it allows you to transmit out, but reflected energy gets routed back into a load. So that if we get an antenna that takes a hit and we can't, and they're called, what are they called? Magnetic rotators. Help me out, John.
Duplexers.
Somebody?
Circulators.
That's it. Magnetic circulators.
Circulators. Okay.
And basically what you can do is you can transmit out through them, but the reflected energy, if you get a high SWR, the reflected energy, instead of heating up the finals in your radio, just goes out into a load. A pretty cool solution. Wonder if there's a next button. Oh, okay, that's a upside down 440 can. These are my pictures. That's the 6 meter tuned cavities.
Yeah, they're about 7 feet long.
Yeah, the reason why they're sitting on top, that's the rack underneath here for 146730 and 447. There's a little half rack on the table. So why are they strapped in with a piece of rope on the top against the top of the building? It's because they are actually taller than the building is. We couldn't mount them normally. A couple of the power supplies. Okay, so the way we're doing things up there, guys, we've got some massive lead calcium phosphate batteries that were originally designed for AT&T for backup telephone switching systems to back up something the size of the city of Escondido. They'll run our repeaters. I calculated if we use our repeaters a lot, like emergencies, they'll run our repeaters for 2 to 3 weeks straight, just on this battery bank. So these are the 48 volt in, 12, it's actually 13.8 volts out, as you can see. And we've been marking them. Each of these is big enough to handle 2 repeaters with no difficulty at all. But since we have enough of these power supplies, we're putting 1 repeater per supply. And they convert the 48 volt battery bank into 13.8 volts to run the radios.
Super.
This, in case you guys didn't know, Palomar Amateur Radio Club is rather unique in that we own our property under the name of the club. For example, there are folks up there who have repeaters, but the property is owned by the person and the repeaters are theirs. Our club is unique in that someone gifted us a lot of land up there many, many years ago. And so one of the things that I believe that's important to further amateur radio is for us, if we're capable of it, to help other radio clubs, to host them if we can. Not for free, because we got to pay for the electricity and property taxes and everything, but for a tiny nominal fee compared, it ends up being about 1/10 of what commercial places charge. So this is the East County Repeater Association's Mount Palomar setup. And we're hosting ECRA. That's, oh God, what was the frequencies? I can look them up. In fact, if you look real carefully, the frequency's written right there. And the other one's 447.8 or something like that. Anyway, for their 2-meter repeater. And this is their repeater controller and some of their switching equipment. On the other hand, this is our equipment. That is 447, 146.73, and that's the SCOM controller for those units. And it can do everything from, we can remotely control the repeaters, retune them. We can change incoming and outgoing messages. We can actually shut the repeater off and reboot it. We can cross-band the repeaters and connect them to each other so that you go into one and you come out of the other. So all sorts of nifty capability. And this is one of 2 identical racks. The other one has 147.075 and 147.130 on the other controller. And then there's a gap at the top that has a room for 6-meter, which is currently down. And John and I and Glenn are designing a little PC board to interface the Midland 6-meter radios into the system. Hopefully, now that I'm not going up the mountain constantly, we'll get back on that board again. Now, we should note that 447 radio that was up there just a minute ago. There's the wide angle view looking into the main repeater building. You can see there's 146.73, 447, its controller. And ECRA and our other one with the 6-meter on the top, with the 6-meter on the top. And then this is a little back room with some more cavities and things. And as you notice, underneath all the tables are all the cavities, the tune cavities. Does everybody know what the tune cavities are and what they're for? Everybody got somebody?
Quick review.
All right, quick review. Okay, so it turns out that when you've got all of these radios in that close a proximity, they tend to want to mix with each other. And when they do, you get all sorts of bizarre frequencies. Not to mention, and I've got this problem right now, I'm operating the wires X link here. And as a result, I can't transmit on 147.075 or I swamp the wires X radio because I'm too close to it. So what these things are is they're ultra sharp filters that are only like 5-10 kilohertz wide. And the way they work is they actually have a little teeny antenna that transmits down into a resonant cavity that's tuned for a partial waveform of the frequency that we're working at. If it's quarter wave, it's going to be somewhere around 19 point something inches. and there's a metal, they're all gold plated on the inside. And then the screw lowers this thing down and tunes the length of it so that only for a pass cavity, only that one frequency plus or minus 5 kilohertz will get through there, and everything else is hugely attenuated. That way we don't end up swamping everything else in the area. And on our receivers, for example, there are these cavities that literally just clamp everything except just the one frequency that we want to see. And as you can tell from the way they're spread all over the base of the room, that's pretty much how we live up there. That and grounding straps, man. We got to ground everything to within an inch of its life to keep the RF down. And in case you can't see from any of these pictures, the walls, that is a big copper strap that runs all the way around the room. And this whole room is a giant Faraday cage. When you close the door, even the door is grounded. Yes, Charlie.
We can spend hours on looking at the buildings, but let's get on with the program. It's going to be long.
It's not going to be that long, Charlie, but.
Okay.
I appreciate the info, Mark.
Oh, you're welcome. We're almost done with this anyway. That, in case you guys aren't aware, is the tower. That's our main tower. Now, what you can't see is between these trees, because it's not there. Sorry, my car is in the way. Between these trees in the back, there's another tower laying down now, which is that big 75-foot. This is a 60-foot-ish tower. And my goal, I hope, with the pole and everything on top of it, my goal is to get the other HF tower up above the top of this thing so that they don't interfere with each other.
What kind of antenna are you planning for the HF tower?
Oh, what do I want? I want a step-IR DB18. So if you happen to know of anybody giving one away, let me know. I've got one. So if worse comes to worse, we may discuss that in the future. And by the way, Charlie, the DB18 is rated for 100-mile-an-hour wind load, provided you don't fold the pole over on the top of the. There's a little teeny picture of the battery room. You can see these great big Johnson. Each one of these is 2.2-ish volts at like 1300 and something amp hours.
1300 amp hours. Yeah.
And there is a Harbor Freight Tools voltmeter. And that poor little voltmeter has been sitting up there for 10 years and it still works. And I checked it against my real high-end Fluke the other day, and it's actually still accurate. I don't know how long the battery's been in it. Poor little thing. And last but least, I don't even know what these pictures are. Oh, just another picture inside the room. And one of the guys here went through and even topped off the liquid levels. Notice the batteries are, some of them are a little bit low. So all the liquid levels are all topped off. And at the rate they change, they're good for another 5 years now. All right. So tonight, on the end of that last rack,
I'm surprised you haven't gotten to the tower pictures that I just installed into the site.
That one?
No,
well, John, I don't know. I mean, we're supposed to be doing that anyway.
Okay.
So, like I said, one of the things that we have is we've got internet up there now. This is the Wires X link that we'll talk about this after the meeting. I was hoping that we would get this thing all running. It's telling me I have low system resources. Are you guys hearing me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, let me see. So anyway, we'll deal with this after the fact. But basically, this is what the Wires X looks like. It's connecting on the internet side just fine. So here's a list of a lot of the resources all over the world that Wires X is running on. And it's interesting, you know, you start looking at some of these locations. Yeah. Moreno Valley, Torrance, and Hitachi City in Japan, one in the UK, and they're all over everywhere, as is Echolink. So this is where the radio itself would be talking, and it tells me when I sign into this thing, I'm remote desktop to another PC that's actually running the software. And it tells me that it's not talking to the PC or not talking to the radio, but if I pull the link, it shows that it's disconnected and it's not going to work. So if I put it back in again, then it'll get mad at me in just a second and tell me that it's going to reboot. There we go, because we lost the connection. So if you say, okay, fine, it reboots. It's now yelling at the radio over on the other side of the room. And if I restart it again, I'm dropping HTs all over the ground. It's bleeping my radio and telling me, so it's connected through Wires X and telling me it's working. But then I get this message here saying that it can't detect the interface to the radio. So N6JO, maybe after the meeting, you can explain to me why this is doing this. I've been fighting this for 2 months now.
You check the cable?
I'll be happy to talk with you after the meeting, Mark. Does it do the same thing when you're on your host computer?
Yes.
Okay, we'll talk after the meeting.
Okay. As a matter of fact, I can switch it over to the host computer. I've got the software on it also. Anyway, now that's this. After the meeting, anyone who wants to stick around on a troubleshooting session for Wires X, and I'm the only one that can't use Wires X because it swamps it, but I got my little Yaesu Digital HT here. But John's got his and Charlie's got his. So we got enough people that we can try it.
Hey, Mark,
Yes, sir.
you might explain, in case there's anybody who doesn't know, what's the difference between this and Echolink?
Oh, okay. So in the case of Wires X is designed more to be a digital mode. It prefers, if I can go in and check my radio, my transceiver, and you can set it TXRX digital mode and digital modulation, and it uses C4 FM, where Echolink uses standard FM modulation, just standard FM HT. So this is a little bit limited because mostly it's Yaesu equipment that runs this way. And by the way, you can set it up so that the host node can work directly through the repeater. Unfortunately, the interface that they want to connect into is the same one that we use for our repeater controllers. So that's why we're trying to do this down the mountain in this case. Charlie, do you think that was an adequate explanation?
Yeah, I mean, that explains the modulation characteristics. That's the difference. Other than
It's a
that,
digital radio.
yeah,
Okay. Now, before I get into Echolink, one of the things that you guys might be interested in knowing, and the board doesn't know this at all, but so I'm going to spring this on them right now, just in case nobody's freaked out enough yet. But one of the things that they've been after me about is to get DMR up on the mountain. And oh, look at Charlie. Now you're supposed to make the sign of the cross, Charlie, like an exorcism. Anyway, is to get DMR up and running. And George Rios, who operates the Mexican American ham radio club, has volunteered to supply a complete functioning DMR system to us as a joint project for the two clubs. It's already got its own frequency allocated, but we can change it if we want. And so in short order, assuming that we want to put it up there, we can have a complete DMR system running in a few weeks. So now you know what we're going to be talking about in the board meeting. And George, I've already invited him to the board meeting to discuss the specifics. So let me see. I see Charlie's face. He's kind of stoic. Glenn's smiling, but he's always smiling. And Joe has left. Oh, okay. Joe gives me a big thumbs up. So yeah, if it's very possible we can have DMR. I don't know that anybody will be able to use it, but we can have DMR up and running. It'll be 447.8, which may interfere with ECRA. So
sorry, I'm a little distracted. I'm attempting to properly fold this gigantic flag by myself.
Mark, a
don't
question.
let it touch the ground. Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
Oh yeah, it's not touching the ground. Believe me.
That antenna up on Palomar has such a wide footprint. It would be hard to understand how we could bring in a frequency coordinated elsewhere and just put it up there without having some type of interference, right?
Well, I'm already talking to them about, do we want it to remain on 447.8? Do we want to put it on 447.0, which is what we've got allocated now? So therefore that frequency wouldn't mess with anything else.
There you go.
So you're right. And not to mention, I've already done for the last ones minus this. I did a up to a 7th order intermod mixing table. And I got to go back and redo the intermod table if we add another frequency. So yeah, you're right, Joe. It's a non-trivial problem. Are you listening carefully, Thomas? When you start putting this many high power radios in one place that have the ability to broadcast, hundreds of square miles, if we add another radio up that high, who knows what other low-level repeaters we're going to screw up all over Southern California by just adding another frequency that they're not working with. Now, I should tell you, Joe, this frequency is already coordinated, and it's on top of Mount Laguna right now, broadcasting to the west.
Yeah, but different site, different mapping, you know that.
Oh yeah.
That's just the other side of the sharp sword, right? We have this beautiful mountain with this incredible site, great footprint with all this capability. The club has added Echolink. The club has added WireX. You're talking about potentially adding DMR. remote control HF station, all from that remarkable site. So the other side of that sharp sword is the responsibility. And I love having all that capability up there. And then it's just a matter of letting everybody amongst us know what can be enjoyed from up there in its simplest form. And I can only tell you some of the fun we've had here in Oceanside on our tiny local repeater with people using Echolink, checking in from New Zealand, their feet in the Atlantic Ocean in the south of Spain, on a bus in Israel on a tour. And those are some of our CERT members, not to mention the people that come across us and check in from Italy and all sorts of other places. I think it's cool that they can do so. And Thomas, one of the things about Echolink is that any ham can use it for free, and you can do it on a phone, on a tablet. You don't need a radio, but the beauty of it is it combines with radio, so you can talk to people all over the world. And the other end of it can be somebody in a car using an HT or having a big station. So it's a really fun thing, and you only need a technician license. Wires is a kind of a similar thing in terms of voice over IP, like Mark said, but a digital version. It offers some real interesting performance advantages over the analog, FM analog that Echolink has. The clarity is incredible. And one of the things that is really nice is that for people who are in that area where you'll have fading or picket fencing or other things operating mobile or with an HT, true to digital, like Mark has always said, you either have it or you don't. So if you've got a mediocre signal going in and it's good enough, it sounds just as good as the big stations. And we here in Oceanside enjoy a local Wires X repeater, and the beautiful equalizer is that people with 991 base station radios or FT1s, FT2s, FT3s, FT70s, FTM 400s, 100s, and the new 300s, they all sound the same and they all sound great. Not to take anything away from the other modes, but Wires X is really easy. You open up a Yaesu box, you put in your call sign, and you put in a frequency and you can start going. You don't have to dump in code plugs. Sorry to get on the soapbox there, Mark, but I thought a little bit of top level to answer Charlie's question might help out a little bit. Back to you.
No, thank you, Joe. Like I said, this meeting is a little different. It's not quite a presentation. It's a participatory meeting. Although I got to tell you, Joe, I have an FT2 and an FT3, and I had to crank the mic on the FT3 all the way to the stop because I would go back and forth between the two radios. And the FT3 just didn't have the drive that the FT2 did. So go figure.
We have to turn our FT3s down. Joe, NAJOE, and myself each have FT3s. We have to turn them way down or else they're too hot. So we can talk about that too.
Yeah, I had to turn mine all the way up to get it to go. And so I've got the 2 with me right now. Okay, Glenn, let me ask you something. Are you ready to put up Echolink since we kind of already started? And we have a question and we have something for Charlie.
Yeah, so how do you want to do Echolink? We really didn't.
Well, I stopped sharing, so all you got to do is hit share.
Oh, it's not running on my computer. I can't share what the screen shows.
Oh, that was what you were going to do.
I didn't understand that. But I can tell you that. So we have a repeater on the mountain, the 447 repeater. There's another nodes radio sitting in my garage that's hooked up to Echolink. A computer running Echolink has a hardware interface in between. And so when Charlie got on his phone earlier and dialed into it from his phone, he was actually coming in through the internet to that machine in my garage. And then his signal was going out over the RF, and Mark was hearing it and responding at the other end from Valley Center.
So are we going to do that little demo? I thought I seem to remember that you were going to.
Yeah, I guess I didn't understand the plan.
And I have a monitor here that puts out enough RF to just swamp everything. So I got to get back a little ways from my computers in order to have ham radio work. Charlie, we're going to do a quick QSO on 447.
Yeah.
What are you going to use? You going to use a cell phone or a computer to get in? What are you, or do you want me to use a cell phone and you get on the radio?
I was hoping to use the radio.
Oh, well,
I
here.
was hoping-
Okay. You take the radio. I'll turn mine off. There's a button for that. And let me get my 1.7 gigahertz radio here.
But I still want to know why I can't connect.
I'm saving that for effect at the end. Okay, let me see. I have to hit the button that says ready for QSO. And I've already got it. Now I should back up a little bit. So let me go into it from scratch. So let me see. Ham radio stuff, Echo Link. And then I'm just going to go down to recent QSOs, or I could go to locations or repeaters, but to save time, I'll go down to recent QSOs. And there's W6 NWGR.
So I'll share one thing about this is that because I see the console out when I go out there, there's about, I think it reports about 6,900 Echolink nodes. A lot of those are just my cell phone, Charlie's cell phone, Mark's counts is that, and it shows 10% of them, about 9 or 10% always busy. I think that's just ones that are permanently or continuously linked to other machines. And I look at the log file and I'll see sometimes 10 people come in and hit our machine, but I never hear any traffic. So I think there's a lot of playing around with it. You know, what can I connect to? What does it do? But nobody really talks on it.
Okay, Charlie, you want to turn up your audio so that we can hear 447?
Well, my audio is as loud as it's going to be.
Okay. So let me connect. Connect.
Yeah, and this is Kevin jumping in. I can show you the 7300 when you guys are ready.
All right. So I put this in transmit mode and I get a little microphone there. This is KF6 WTN transmitting on Echolink to W6NWG on 447.000 megahertz.
Coming in just fine. I've got it on here.
Somebody want to say something back?
I hear you just fine.
And 6 WTN from November 3 Mr. Hello, Mark.
By George, I heard somebody. And it sounds like I'm still transmitting. Oh, there are other people here. There's Joe.
And W6 Mike Bravo Mike coming in on the Echolink 447. Over to you, Mark.
And this is KF6 WTN again. And I noticed something new. I've never had multiple people on a QSO here. It actually shows what you guys are on and what equipment you're using.
I think the
That
setting
is
there
correct.
allows us to
And
have 10.
many times you see multiple people connected and you have to handle it somewhat like a net. There has to be a net control.
If anybody's interested, there's an ISS pass going almost directly overhead. It just started.
We're kind of in the middle of something though.
Sure, just let you know.
Yeah, it's anyway, it shows what equipment they're using. Which I hadn't seen before.
Mark, do you see W6 Mike Bravo Mike reflected on your screen there?
No, I see W6 NWGR, W6 TQS, KK6 EVD, who's on his Motorola, me, Joe, N8JOE, and an iPhone user. Oh my goodness, W6JPE. It just says iPhone user who's yet to be identified.
Yeah, so security concerns.
KK6 EVD is Bob, of course.
So
What else can I demonstrate with the RF?
well, I think we're proving that Echolink is doing what it ought to be. We just happen to be using our repeater. Oh, I should mention, because I don't know, Thomas, do you have your little cell phone connection yet to Echolink? All right, so here's the way you set this up for those of you who haven't set it up yet. You go to the Echolink website and you have to sign up for an ID to make this app work. And in order to make the app work, you have to be a currently licensed ham radio operator. And for proof of that, you must send them your copy of your license. And you got to go to the FCC website, and then they have a button. It's free to download a certified copy of your license. And obviously, anything, tech, general, extra, anything works. And you send them to it, and they say they need a few days to process it. Mine took a few hours to process, but they're volunteers like all of us. So I happened to get there roughly the same time that the volunteer showed up to process them. But in talking to them, they say it very, very rarely is it over 24 hours.
I might mention that there's an app for the phones that will tell you in your area who has an Echolink repeater. So then you can, if you see it and you don't have a radio, you can connect to their node and you can talk out on the radio in that area and make QSOs.
This is true.
So comment, Mark?
Yes, and then Kevin's ready to go on remote HF base, so we gotta.
Well, this is quick. This is Mike, W6 Mike Bravo Mike. I'm part of the Carlsbad Oxcom CERT team, and we use Echolink, the 447 machine, for people coming in remotely on nets from time to time. Probably not as frequently as the Oceanside people do. However, I made a little video to help our people learn about Echolink, and I posted that link in the chat if anybody's interested. Back to you, Mark.
Great, thank you. And this is the repeater that you're using?
Yeah, we use the 44700. Yeah.
God, hey, I got to tell you, being the guy who's up there with the keys constantly, making sure this stuff stays online.
Yeah.
God, I am glad somebody's using it.
Well, we love it. We've had people that have moved out of town and they come in remotely, so it's pretty cool.
Great. I'll make sure I keep it all running.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
And you know something, if it really does eventually hit the fan, that battery bank that you guys saw earlier, 447 is on it. Now, whether or not Glenn has battery backup and everything at his location, for whatever it's worth, if I ever get Wires X up and crawling, it's actually on its own battery bank. So, Glenn, I gave you that huge array that we were going to play with, that 48-volt backup system. We could actually use it.
Yes, we could.
Anyway, we're not short of toys to play with. So, by the way, I'm looking for people to come play on the technical team. So if any of you guys get bored and you want to play with the gear, let me know. Always room for more crazies. Anyway, having said that, is there any more questions on Echolink or Wires X before Kevin gets to something that's actually organized and planned? Going once, going twice. Kevin, you there?
Yeah, Kevin is here. Can you hear me?
Yep. What do you want to present?
Yeah, let me see if I can share the screen. Okay, this is on an older Windows machine and sometimes Zoom bogs it down. So let's see. Okay. All right, I'm going to share the screen. All right, I'm going to try and share the whole screen and see if it lets me do what I want. Okay. All right. Do people see my whole screen?
Now we do. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Very well. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to first, for those that you don't know, this is me. I'm KK6FRK. I don't know if you can see this. This is my QRZ page. All right.
Yep.
That's that part. Then there's the KK6UC site. So what I'm going to be doing this evening, is going over this demo of remotely accessing the ICOM 7300 at UCSD. This is the gap tighten antenna that is on top of the Cal IT building. Okay. And the ICOM 7300 is located in a radio room one level below where the antenna is located. Also, what you see here to the right is one of the M2 egg beaters. What you don't see in this photo is to the left is the M2 2-meter 440 satellite antennas. There's also a satellite rig in the room. It's not used very often. There's been some recent talk about raising the mast so that the folks can use that more when after COVID. Students are still not on campus yet. They're going to return in the fall unless some variant changes our plans at UCSD. We have not had in-person instruction for 18 months. Okay, so I'm going to first talk about the stuff that I have going on here. I'm going to minimize this thumbnail and tell you what I got here. This window right here is the ICOM 7300 connection utility. You can see that it requires Windows. So this is a client server proprietary application. You install a server side, which is located at UCSD. Then you install clients on individual Windows PCs. You can have individual accounts to access the server that is physically connected over a USB cable to the 7300. The same software also supports the ICOM 9700, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if there's a 7600 series support, but I'm positive it supports the 7300 because you're going to see that live like real soon. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to the waterfall and the user interface. Everybody sees the waterfall here?
Yes.
Okay. While I've been listening in the background to a net that is just ending, but the user interface, as you can see, looks exactly like, it looks very similar to as if it's a pretty close facsimile to the user interface. You can also have memories. So I have a memory set up for the IOOK net on Sunday and the frequency that we use for the USS Midway. So I'm going to see if I can select this window. Let's go and see if there's any. Unfortunately, because of the way Zoom works, and when I'm using Zoom to remotely control or remotely access the 7300, I'm hearing audio from the actual 7300. But with the way the client is configured, correct me if I'm wrong, you're not hearing any audio from the 7300. Is that true?
Yes, that's true, but there's probably a way around it.
There's probably a way around it, but I haven't.
You want me to tell you what it is?
What is it?
Over on the right edge of your screen share,
Yeah.
there's a spot where you can click a little arrow or something, and you get a drop down menu, and it says share computer audio.
Okay. In other words,
It's a Zoom control.
Yes.
It's not in your taskbar in Windows.
Okay, so is it here?
Yeah, go to meeting controls. No, other one.
Hold on. Yeah, I'm not familiar with this, so I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. You were in the right place. That's a good place to start. Just go to meeting controls, which was the window on the right.
Right here? Where it says more?
Yeah, try that.
Yeah. We can't see it from
Yeah,
where
we're not seeing you doing, but I think that's it. More.
And that it's down near the bottom. On the
sound, correct.
Yeah,
yes,
there it is.
Bingo. Mm-hmm.
There, did that work? You hear background
Yes,
now?
yes, success.
Okay, all right. So now, there we go. So let me click on this. Okay, can you hear that?
Yes.
Okay, so you can either use a mouse. Okay, hold on. I mean, this is 80 meters, as you guys already know. So what you can do is hunt and pounce. While you guys were talking, I was listening to a regular 80 meter net, and they were coming in really good. Okay, let me go back to this one. You get the general idea. Okay, hold on. These guys are coming in a little better now. Okay, you get the general idea. We can look, long story short, you can set up, let me see if I can do this. All right, so this is the memory channel editor where you can set up, regular nets that you use. Okay, so this is the general user interface where you can set up memories. So there's I usually set up these nets that I usually do. Let me see if I can get the 80 meter.
And this is something stored on your local PC there?
That's correct. It's stored on my
instance.
client. So each client user, okay, sorry about that, can set up their own. So in other words, if everybody let's say we had a shared use 7300. So all the kids that are at UCSD, they're part of KK6UC, have their own Windows PCs with their own client installed. They don't change the configuration on the server side. They only change the configuration on the client side. I'm going to go ahead and collapse this. And one of the things that I wanted to point out, I mean, we can go ahead and see if there's anything on 14. Let's go see if there's anything on, I'm not surprised. Let me go back to 80 meters. This time of night, this is where the activity is. On that IIOK thing on the Sunday morning net, I can hear them, but nobody hears me, rarely hears me.
You can hear them on 40 meters here?
Correct. I hear, it's hard to hear, but I do hear them. This is, again, the Gap Titan on top of Cal AT squared.
You want to set the 20 meter net that starts at 9:30 Eastern time.
Okay, anyway, so this is, you get the general idea. You get the waterfall. You can point and click and pounce on a conversation. You can use the memory function to go ahead and pre-configure things that are done on a regular basis. You have a number of things here on the side that are the functional equivalent of the buttons on the actual rig itself. Okay. The key thing there, I will say that we've taken, it's taken us a good deal of time to get all of the Windows specific settings, the audio settings that are specific to Windows configured correctly. I've had a number of people complain that when I'm talking that my audio is overdriving. So that is a Windows audio setting. It's not an ICOM 7300 setting. One of the limitations of this particular software is you really can't do digital modes remotely. There are other solutions for that, and I'm going to point those out here in a second. Okay. So,
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure, go right ahead.
Where's the push to talk?
Push to talk is transmit.
Oh, okay.
Right there. Okay.
Missed it. Sorry.
Yeah. However, there is, let me see if I can get to it. There is a fancy device right here, an add-on that you can get. So the software is not free. I did purchase one of these. Can you see the screen with this ICOM RC28?
Yes.
Okay. So this is a very high quality device. It gives you a physical weighted knob. It's like playing. It reminds me of the quality of a weighted keyboard on a good electronic piano. Quality is very high. It's very heavy, so it doesn't slide around on your desk. And then it has the push to talk right there. It almost looks like a push to talk on a desktop microphone. Okay, so while I'm on the screen, there's a couple of other remote offerings, since we're talking about remote access. Most people are aware of kind of buying by the minute or buying by the hour from remote ham, where there's stations located all over, all over the, well, I don't know about the world, but definitely in the United States. So this is 0.09 cents a minute. I have not tried this, but I plan to. Let's just view the stations real quick. In particular with Jamboree on the Air, I don't know if it's legal for us to do this for Jamboree on the Air, but this station is located in Maine. You get the idea. Then the other remote control solution that is out there right now, there's several, is this. There's the open source RigPi that some people have heard about. MFJ has packaged this as a product. Okay. Then let me see if I can go to, then there's Remote TX. I have not played with this, but these are the supported radios on the side. So it supports more than one manufacturer radio. Okay. This is on my to-do list. It also, I'm interested in this because one of the things that is a limitation, a big limitation with the out-of-the-box ICOM 7300 remote access software is if you want to do logging, like with N1MM, you cannot do it. There's no integration, whereas this will allow you to do it. And then the other solution we're looking at is this. This is again on the to-do list. So this would be substituted for the software coming from Icon, so that you can do digital modes and do N1MM for logging while you were actually, let's say you were contesting or just generally want to log your contacts. Okay, let me collapse this. Go back to this. So this is the utility there, and then, hold on. There's another, so once you launch the utility and you connect to the server, then you open this user interface by saying connect, and that connects you to it, okay? We have not experimented with every capability of this ICOM software solution, but we know what some of the limitations are. Let me see if I can pick anybody up. I'll even try this. Nah. All right, so that was more or less what I wanted to do. I wanted to just give you guys an introduction. We plan on getting more stick time and improving our knowledge of this once we're allowed to go back on campus. Okay, I'll stop there and entertain any questions.
Kevin, are there any other knobs, remote knobs that are cheaper than that one? That's pretty pricey. For just
No, there are no other. I'm not aware of any other knobs. That was one of the comments of the reviewers.
I mean, you can buy some cheap radios for that much money.
No kidding.
Yeah. Kevin, Mike here with a quick question. Given that the students are away, are they taking advantage of this and using this setup remotely?
Some are. I would say that they should be taking much greater advantage, but they are not. I have a feeling. Oh, can you hear the conversation in the background on the 7300 as well?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let me go ahead and move it off frequency. Hold on, there you go. To answer your question about the students, they are not all that active. It takes a good deal of coaching to get them to do stuff. They did participate in the school roundup. More recently, we got a kid that came to the Poway Field Day, Johnny, all of the Poway folks that were at Field Day met Johnny, and he is from Mount Carmel High School across the freeway, here in North County, and he set up the buddy pole. He took it home, learned how to set it up. So he learned how to set it up quite well. We set it up on 6 meters, we set it up on 20, and we made a lot of contacts actually at the field day at Lake Poway on 20 meters, right then and there. Both Owen Cruz, the president of KK6UC, well, now Johnny is taking over as president of KK6UC, the Student Amateur Radio Club. The guy that Owen Cruz, let me do this real quick. Owen Cruz is graduated and moving on, but both Owen and Johnny are going to come help out this Saturday at the University of Scouting at Point Loma Nazarene University. The University of Scouting happens every year about this time. So I'm giving a presentation on the radio scouting program, and we're doing the radio merit badge. And Owen and Johnny are helping with that. They've helped usually every February or March. We partner with the student IEEE chapter at UCSD, and we do the radio, programming, and electronics merit badges. The KK6UC, the Student Amateur Radio Club, runs that radio merit badge. There was one other thing I was going to try and show. It was the history. Here, there it is. Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so this is the history of KK6UC. So I'll let you, this is on the KK6UC website, but I'm a little bit older. I've been at UCSD a long time, but the campus started in 1960, but the first undergraduate class was admitted, well, SIO has been around for 100 years, the Oceanography Institute. So this goes over the guys starting from the 1960s, okay? And a couple of these guys are still around, okay? And this is that the Nimitz Marine Facility is still there. That's where the SIO's oceanographic research vessels, Sally Ryder and the Roger Revelle, and the Sproul and Flip are. Okay. So, in any event, and there's more history, you know, including with Brian Cantor, who is a friend, is now Silent Key, but Phil is good, you know, was good friends with Brian Cantor. And I had met Brian back in the late 70s when I was an undergraduate at UCSD. And he's actually one of the guys that encouraged me to learn how to do ham radio stuff. And anyway, that's what I've got at the, you know, for now. I'll figure out a better way to do this remotely, but it actually worked better than I thought it would. Any questions?
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Can you control from your PC? Can you control the 7300 with the keyboard, or you have to use the mouse only, or what?
I only have used the mouse. I don't know the answer to that question. I've only used the mouse. I think you can put in digits with the keyboard, but I usually use just the mouse.
Yeah, the only reason I ask is I use Web SDR, which is just for listening, not transmitting. And you can use a few keyboard controls to change the frequency and things like that. It makes it easier sometimes in the mouse.
I don't know the answer to that question. Yeah.
That's fine. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah,
Very
usually,
good presentation.
yeah, the thing you can use the keyboard when you're putting in your memories. You know, that memories of things that you want to do repeatedly, like nets. That part I know, but I don't think that other than putting in frequencies, I don't think that you can like do the right arrow key. Well, let me try it. Now I'm pressing the right arrow key on this to see if it does anything. It does not. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Well, thanks a bunch.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, this gave me so do you want, Mark, do you want me to go ahead and stop the share?
Yeah, I'd say that, well, I'll ask the obvious question of everyone. Hey guys, what do you think? Is there anything else you want to know?
When can I get one?
Okay.
Yeah, I would
how
suggest,
can you join?
Yeah, I would suggest that we look at rigs. The ICOM 7300 is definitely one of the most popular rigs out there. But I wouldn't necessarily go whole hog with the ICOM software. What I would like to suggest is that we experiment with the 7300 with other software offerings, including that Win Suite, where it wouldn't mean that let's say theoretically we put a 7300 up at Mount Palomar and try some other software other than the stuff from ICOM to see if that works, because I think it will scale to multiple members. Then you have to deal with scheduling. And that could be something as easy as a Google Calendar where you sign up.
God, wouldn't that be a wonderful problem to have? I also
Um,
noticed that the little software, aftermarket software interface, well, I should say hardware interface,
yeah.
supported the Yaesu 991, which goes from 160 meters through 70 centimeters, including C4 FM on 2 meter and 70 centimeter.
All right.
And it's a lot less expensive rig. I've got a 991.
Okay.
So it
Yeah.
seems like I have a question. So, or a thought here is, I don't see any buttons about controlling if you had a directional antenna, like a stepper, either picking frequency or direction with a rotator.
Right. That's where the Wind Suite, that's where the other the Wind Suite comes in. Because we have, there's the ICOM radio that is like I have the 847 for satellite stuff. It's kind of an older rig, but for the satellite stuff, we're using the Yaesu like 550 controllers, the rotors rather, and with the Wind Suite, for ICOM, it does have rotor control too, and that's open sourcey software. So let me.
Did you say you had a Yaesu 847 that you were using?
Yeah, I have a Yaesu 847 that I use.
I love that radio. I've still got it. I ran that thing mobile for years.
Oh, you ran it mobile. In other words, remote access?
Oh no, you remember my old white pickup?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
that old white pickup I had that had the ATAS 100 in the back.
Right. Yeah.
That was an 847 inside.
Okay. Wow. Well, it's a rock. It's rock solid. So I bought
No
one,
kidding.
I bought one used from a guy that was I think he was in Kansas, and I told him what I was doing, and he threw in a bunch of extra stuff, a Pelican case and everything. So I use that a lot between the 897 Delta and this 847.
Well, I replaced the 847 with a 991.
That is really nice. So,
but the 847, I was going through an intersection in Escondido, green light, nobody else around. Somebody flew through the intersection the wrong way, slammed in the side of it, knocked me out of the road into a telephone pole.
Oh my God.
Well, I got hurt. Jessica was a little smaller. She wasn't. I had a little internal bleeding for a while. And the 847 survived just fine, but there was a Yaesu a Diamond 9000 rotating mount that I had mounted backwards that laid the antenna flat onto the rail on the bed of the truck. And it snapped that sucker off and that antenna clean. So it goes on the replacement truck now.
I'm going to go ahead and stop the screen share so you're not hearing the background. All right, I'm back with you. All right. Well, cool. I'm glad.
Good job, Kevin. Thank you, buddy.
All right. Well, I'll have more to report, and if we get this other software that does what I want to do is be able to, when we're remotely accessing the 7300 for like the school club roundup or any other things where you have to submit logs, you can magically integrate with N1MM. All right, so cool. So back to you, Mark and Glenn.
All right. Hey, guess what, folks? It's 9:02. Technically, the meeting ends at 9. So we actually pulled this thing off. I want to thank everybody that contributed, including the guys who got on Echolink just to make sure that Echolink stayed warm. And yes, Charlie.
I'm waiting to hear why I can't connect to the 447 Echolink.
Oh, I forgot to answer that. Okay. You're right. Sorry about that, Charlie. Okay, so it turns out that Glenn discovered this for me. I'm trying to move stuff around to make things fit on. There's 3 monitors here and I still can't get stuff to fit. All right. I think yeah, you can see this. Okay, I should turn this on. So it turns out that the digital Yesus, just when you hit the DTMF button, send out a tone while you're pushing DTMF. And that tone screws up Echolink. So this is an old Yaesu VX 7R. And I can tune it up to 447. I better quiet this one down. Oh, it's on 075. There, it's on 447. But I better quiet it down for a minute because both of them on are just going to feed back on each other. So I have no trouble at all on this one going.
Connecting to WACOTEST. Connected. Welcome to the Echolink test server. This server records your transmissions and plays them back to help you adjust your transmitted and received audio. Please feel free to connect as often as you like.
And like I said, guys, I got to get a ways back from that display that makes a lot of noise. This is KF6 WTN testing the Echolink callback. Whoop, I should probably get it on the right frequency. There we go. This is KF6 WTN testing the Echolink callback server. All right, this is on an old Yaesu VX7. So now we push transmit and hit the go away. Which, in case you guys didn't know, okay, in case you guys didn't know, 9999 is the code of the callback server that I just used. And the pound sign gets you out of it. And I put the control codes for Echolink somewhere in the club's documentation, he said. I guess I'd have to go find it. But if anybody wants, I'll send them a copy of all of the control codes for Echolink. However, Charlie, if I try and do the same thing, and you guys are probably all listening to 447, using a Yaesu FT2DR on 447. I'm sorry, I'm a ways from the camera, and it doesn't really show on the LCD very well at all. But anyway, I hit transmit, hit DTMF, and you heard that tone. That messes it up. And it's confused. And it's because when I push the DTMF button, I get a tone. Did you guys hear a tone?
No.
Glenn heard it.
We heard some tones. I don't know which one.
I hear PL tone, but that's it.
Right.
Well, I hear the tone, but I don't see a DTMF button on my microphone.
Okay, I'm using the radio, not a. I could go get an FT400, I guess. I'm using an FT2. But there is a DTMF button, and when I push it,
that is not.
I don't hear any problem.
I hear 4 distinct tones.
That's 9999. But when I push DTMF, to get the keyboard up so that I can push the tones.
This does not have a DTMF tone.
Well, I'll have to hook up an
Mark, try it again because I didn't hear anything unusual.
Maybe it's a memory, maybe it's a menu item. You can disable that tone.
You're probably right. It probably is. Boy, I have read there are 3 manuals for the FT2, and I tried it on the FT3 and it does the same thing, by the way. There are 3 manuals and I have gone over them and I can't find anything. Just like I found some.
There is a Google video of how to use an FTM 400 to connect to Echolink. And all they do is push the DTMF keys on that microphone. And what they hear is this.
That sounded normal to me.
Well, let me do it on the VX7. Not that you guys can hear well, actually DTMF, you might be able to hear the difference. Go ahead, Charlie. Go ahead, Charlie.
Sounded normal.
All right, and here's the FT, or excuse me, the VX7.
Sounds loud and clear tones.
Connected. Welcome to the Echolink test server. This server records your transmissions and plays them back to help you adjust your transmitted and received.
I'll go ahead and sign out of it.
Feel free to connect often as you like.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but in my experience, I simply key up the 47 machine, listen to what's going on. If an Echolink session wants to come in from elsewhere, they're the ones pushing the tones. And then they access our repeater. My interface to the repeater is pure RF. So I'm not keying any tones. Presumably, if I'm on that 447 machine and I wanted to reach another Echolink node elsewhere in the world, then I'd need to be the one pushing the tones. Correct. But as far as just getting on the 447 machine and having other people come in on an Echolink, they would be pushing the tones. So practically speaking, I think we're in good shape because we've got that 447 machine that we access with plain old RF.
Well, that's all well and good unless you want to key the tones to get out to another repeater somewhere.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If you want to access another node, then you've got to have the tones. I agree. Yeah.
Well, why doesn't mine not work?
Well, let's see. You're not doing it from an iPhone. That was specifically to harass Joe Peterson.
Is there a harassment meter? Can you tell?
Maybe Charlie, you and I can get together offline and see if we can figure it out. That because Mark and I were on, and that's when I could hear that his radio sent a tone. And then when he did the 9999, it had already, I guess, interpreted the first tone as something, and then it didn't see it as a request to connect to the server. Another thing
is that it worked fine for about 3 weeks, and then it just quit. Enough. We'll do it offline.
Well, this is the offline part of the non-meeting. The only person we're no one here has
double negative.
Yeah, it is. No one. It was, and yes, it was done intentionally. No one here has to stay for all of this nonsense.
Yeah.
But this is a rare opportunity for me to get people around to help with troubleshooting. So, yay! Comment. Go ahead. Was it Mike?
No, this is Bob.
Oh, Bob.
I'm the really inexperienced guy, so this sounds really dumb, but I cannot access the 447 machine from my handheld at my particular location. But when I put up a bigger antenna, when I use my mobile radio, my Kenwood, I can. So my point is it simply your location, Charlie? Could it be something that simple?
No, I have plenty of power and a good antenna. You heard me. If you're listening, this is November 3 Victor talking on the repeater.
So he's coming, he's hitting the repeater solid. He's not breaking up.
Oh, okay. Well, it was just a thought.
Now it could be the Charlie filter that Glenn has installed in the Echolink system that just filters Charlie out.
No.
Right.
Got the right tone.
Anyway,
So
what can I say, guys? It's getting to be that time of night.
Well, the other thing quickly, Bernie N6FN published a book on Echolink operation, and it's very, very good.
Yes.
Yeah, here's a surprise for you, Mike. Bernie is rarely in San Diego much anymore.
Yeah, he's in Utah all the time, right? Yeah.
But Bernie actually set up the Echolink rig and gave
I know there was times when it
Glenn.
wasn't working. I dropped him a note. He goes, "Oh, I'll fix it." Bang, it's done. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he also gave that rig to Glenn. That's what Glenn has.
Oh, okay.
So it's actually the rig that Bernie set up.
with one change, well, two changes. When I got it,
you're not running it on Linux, are you?
no, it's still on a Windows, the same laptop you've been using. It has a hardware interface between the radio and the PC, and it's got a USB connection for the audio, and it's got a DB9 for the and a serial of some sort for the commands. And it was set when I got it to do the DTMF decodes in the PC rather than in the external hardware interface. And it had a 500 millisecond delay, minimum delay required between key presses, which is why I guess in the past everyone was told, well, if you want to hit the 447 repeater and connect to another Echolink node, you had to be very slow. And so I changed it while Mark and I were on the radio one day. I changed it for the hardware to do the decoding of the DTMF signal, and I reduced the inter-digit time to 100 milliseconds. And when I get on it with my HT and a decent antenna, like a 4 or 5 element Yagi, and I can hit it with strong enough signal, I just go on it and I go beep, 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 and it gets me onto the test.
November 3 Victor testing Echolink.
I turned Charlie down. Turn Charlie down a little bit. Anyway, Ben, for whatever it's worth, Charlie, that analog Yaesu, and by the way, my Kenwood THD7A hits Echolink just fine. Both the analog radios. The digital radios, it's no bueno. I haven't tried a FTM4 or an FT400.
I have a separate comment.
Go ahead.
Having talked about the remote radios, those of you who are interested in seeing how a remote station works and just want to play with it, you go to Kilo 3 Foxtrot Echo Foxtrot.com. It's Kilo 3 Foxtrot Echo Foxtrot.com. That's an SDR receiver only in Pennsylvania. The guy has set up a G5RV with I forget the transceiver, and then he has 5 dongles, those simple SDR dongles connected to the internet. You will see an amazing screen in which you can play with an SDR in the receive only mode. Totally free, and you'll be amazed how well those 4 dongles work. And he has a description of the station on the website. Kilo 3 Foxtrot Echo Foxtrot.com.
Cool. Thanks, Charlie.
All right. So I just noticed that Joe didn't bother hanging around. He probably decided we weren't going to make it back to Wires X. So Charlie, I don't know if I adequately answered your question, but you at least know what we know now, which is my analog radios work fine. None of my digital radios work. And when you hit the DTMF button to get the keyboard up, it sends something.
I will contact Yesu tomorrow and ask them what that's all about.
Well, great. Thank you. Let me know the plan. I'll fire it up on one of the radios here and give it a try. Good old 9999. And as far as Mike, it's great when you can receive, but a lot of people want to be able to transmit out too.
Oh no, I got that. I put some notes together when I was trying to learn Echolink, and I put notes together when I was reading Bernie's book, and I was just reviewing them. Just using the RF link to the 447, I realized Bob, I think, mentioned he has trouble hitting it, but presumably if you can hit it, the 4 DTMF codes, I guess at the right pace, connects anywhere I want to go.
Yep.
And I'm not using a digital radio, and that's intentional. Now, maybe it's the trying to use a digital radio to access the 447 that's transmitting or not this extra tone, which is kiboshing the program. But if you a plain old analog, it should be smooth.
You're making an assumption that I'm using the C4FM digital transmission. No, I'm transmitting on FM.
Good. Then I'm surprised. Yeah, but you have no trouble, correct, Charlie? You don't
connect.
And by the way, I am running this digital radio, although you can't see it, in analog FM mode with a tone of 107.2.
Gotcha. Well, that was going to be my suggestion.
Yeah.
When people started holding up their digital radios and you're right. I made an assumption that you were somehow using it, and you're talking about this tone that's being transmitted. Why would you be transmitting a tone if you were in analog mode?
That's the $64 question.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be.
Yeah. And you're sure you're in analog mode?
Well, you can't see the display on this one very well. But I assure you it's in analog mode. And for that matter, anybody on 447. So this is KF6WTN testing 447 repeater with analog FM mode.
It sounds like you're hitting it. I don't have it up, but I could bring it up. Yeah.
Well, I've actually got another radio.
Yeah.
Now I can be snooty. Go over here to mode. Charlie, I'm now in full digital mode. Are you still on 447?
Yeah.
This is KF6WTN.
Yeah.
It switched. No, it switched over to analog.
Yeah, I heard you hitting it.
There, I think it's forced into digital now. It's KF6WTN on digital mode on 447.
Negative.
Yeah, I'm not hearing anything out of the analog radio.
The 447, I don't think, switches to digital.
I thought it auto switched.
Okay,
I think I got them all auto switching.
I have it on digital. Stand by.
Okay.
November 3 Victor.
No, you don't.
The 447 on digital.
No, you're not, because you're coming in through the analog radio. And this is digital. KF6 WTN on DN mode, but it's possible. I got to go up there again in the next couple of days. I'll check 447 and make sure it's auto switching.
Okay.
No, I know what my problem is. I have the 447 on channel B, and you don't do digital on channel B.
Yeah, I've got it on A.
Yeah, I know.
All right. So apparently I'm not getting through. KF6 WTN,
No contact.
nothing. Even on the analog radio, it should be sending out nasty,
Well, you hit it
squelchy.
before. You hit it. You hit it.
Well, on analog, but
Yeah.
I'm running the radio in digital mode. Now, if I force it into analog,
What you see, if you have an FM radio, somebody transmitting on digital, you'll see a false,
like a descriptor of
mine is blank.
full scale on the S meter, but you
Yeah,
won't big
full
squelch.
scale on the S meter, but you
Yeah.
won't hear anything.
Yeah, because there's no tone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me check. Mode, digital, wideband, full wideband digital. No, it's not. I'm not getting anything on the S meter on the analog radio. However, when I push it, I am getting.
There's somebody
getting-
coming in on the 447.
Yeah, I am
I'm
pissing.
clear. November, 3.
However, I am pissing off the touchscreen controller on my computer whenever I transmit.
Okay.
It's got fresh new buttons up on the screen that I never clicked, which means get further away from the keyboard.
Roger.
Anyway,
guys, I gotta get going, but very good meeting, Mark. Thank you, and good little troubleshooting here.
well, maybe let me ask you. Go ahead and answer him, Charlie, or do you want me to do it?
That's not digital. He said he was transmitting on digital.
No, it's analog.
Oh.
This is KF6 WTN on 447. Oh, now we doubled. Go ahead, Charlie. I'm gonna finish the meeting off.
November 3. We're shutting the meeting down, so I'm gonna exit the repeater. 7-3 of November 3.
I posted a link to my own SDRO on the chat page.
Excellent. Well, then we won't close it down right away. We'll give you a minute. And
HF band seems to be open. I'm hearing WWV on all 6 HF frequencies, including 25.
wow,
Yeah,
that's cool. You don't normally hear them all.
Well, sporadic E. I mean, I think it's been happening almost every evening now.
Okay, and if anybody, I guess you guys are all seeing the pseudo dead Wires X screen with all, it's talking on the internet side and it won't talk on the radio side, although it's connected and it thinks it's working. It just won't actually work. It thinks it's working, but it won't. And if you try and do anything with it, like connect or, anything else, it barfs.
Okay, just to let you know, I'm hitting the link there, Phil, and it's not connecting. I'm getting a dead link.
On what?
On the link
On
for
the
SDR.
link he put in ending in 8073 / in the chat.
Oh, really? Okay, well, it's up. I was just using it. Let me see what might be wrong. www.knet:8073.
Yeah, well, it's saying it can't connect or there's too many.
Now I'm seeing.
Too busy.
Hey, it just found the radio on Wires X. Now it connected all the way to the radio. I have no clue how it did that.
Well, you
Or
get enough
why.
people looking at it and it'll work for you.
Yeah, maybe it's just intimidated. So somebody besides me, try and talk to Wires X and let me see if I get a QSO show up here.
Not being a Yaesu guy, that's not me.
I'll have to go outside to the Jeep, but you guys can come with me.
Mobile.
I gave the
Yes,
wrong
John,
link,
mobile.
sorry.
And the thing that ticks me off is I have no idea what it did to get the radio active. And it's not showing that the radio is working. Normally the radio
Radioactive.
blanks off and it says wires X on the front of the FTM 400. And it's still showing, you know, the band scope and, you know, all the regular FTM normal 400 stuff.
I thought when you were first setting this up that there was something it took you a while on the radio you had to do before.
Well, I did, and the radio locked out. If Joe is there, you might want to know, remember, because we've been playing with 447, that it's 147075.
Yeah, I'm on 075. I'm going to transmit just on FM to see what my signal is like.
I should probably go to 075.
07.2.
Glenn, I'm going to send you a chat directly, Mike, here. Hang on.
On Wires X?
No, I'm just.
Oh, sounds good. Oh, that's 130. Let's try that.
So I'm not getting a response back.
KF6 WTN on 147075.
Yeah, I see you full bars on that, but I'm not getting a response back to my Wires X initiation.
And it's showing the radio connected. So you're saying you're trying to do Wires X and it's not doing it.
Correct.
All right. Well, if you look, well, you can't because you're outside. If you look, it thinks you can see the local thing changing colors, thinking that it's connecting. And it's showing the radio. Hey, stupid comment, Joe. Are you in digital?
I am. K6JPE on DN mode on the 075.
I can hear you on the Wires X radio.
Okay, so now I'm going to press the X button. And I just see a blinking X.
Which is what it does when it's toes up. Now, it see it blinked green. It's trying.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I don't quite have enough signal.
No. I think let me listen to you.
K6JPE DN on the 075.
There we go. Now I'm on the right frequency. Say hello.
Hello, K6JPE DN on the 075.
Oh.
You weren't on the right one.
No, I was in the wrong mode. I got to be able.
I think I finally typed that right.
Okay, go ahead, Glenn or Joe.
K6JPE DN on the 075.
Thanks, Mike.
It's interesting. I didn't hear you.
Glenn.
Got to get away from this monitor that's making all this RF noise. This is KF6 WTN on DN mode.
Okay, that sounded loud and clear here. Let me come back. It may have switched over to my B side.
That
Actually,
works,
I see
Phil.
something. I see some transmission there. Is someone on? Okay. K6JPE DN on the 075.
No, you didn't. I didn't hear you.
Huh. That's weird.
73 and good night from Mike, guys. Take it easy. Catch you next time.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
You
Bye.
bet. Good job, Mark. Great meeting. Bye-bye.
Oh, I'm cheating. I can see Mount Palomar from here, except that it's dark. So let me see if I can set this thing on auto. There. And then I'll set it.
Oh, my antenna cable may have been loose. K6JPEDN on the 075.
Oh, you're coming in a little better now. Does it work better with an antenna on it? Thomas is laughing very quietly.
Well, I mean, that worked better, but I'm still only getting the blinking X.
Well, everybody here can see it's trying. You can see the local every once in a while it switches. No, you guys can't see the wires X display. I could try it here, but I think it'll swamp it out.
Yeah, no, we can see it.
Yeah, it's trying to do it from here. I just tried to put it in wires X mode. But since the distance between this antenna and the disc cone that is running on the FTM 400 is about 6 feet, is not going to be real good. What I need to do is I've got a like a 4-5 element Yagi that I got to put up and get that thing on that Yagi and get it away from where I'm at. Nothing.
Somebody was on it analog.
Well, I could set this on auto. There we go. Oh. Sounds like.
We're getting some interference from elsewhere.
Yeah, but at least in my case, I think it's just my monitor.
Okay. Beep, 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 beep.
Yeah, who is that? Is that
not me?
It's not me.
Well, someone kerchunking constantly could be interfering.
KF6 WTM wideband digital.
Yep.
See, it's coming in over there. And the thing is, before we switch this thing, when we had the other call sign in it with no other changes on the same hardware, it was working.
Yeah.
And all I did is change the call sign. So I don't know. Charlie's there, but I don't think we're making any progress. Unless anybody's got any other brilliant ideas, I'm about ready to call it and give up for the night, and we can.
There's something bizarre going on because earlier this afternoon, I was talking on the 130 and the 075. Now I can't even hear them. I don't.
Oh, I can talk on 130. What do you want, digital or analog?
Let's try digital.
Okay. KF6 WTN on 147 130 WX mode. Boy, that was loud.
Well, you blew me out of the handset. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you just fine. I think I'm going to get a little further away from the mic.
Are you listening on the repeater?
Yes, and I know I'm using digital because it's showing your call sign on the display.
Oh, you're coming in loud and clear.
Yep, W6 NWGR NN3V. So at least all of this stuff is working the way it should. It's interesting that you guys can hear the delays now. KF6 WTN.
You're loud and clear here with no interference. Sounds like right here in the headset.
Okay, well, the question as to whether or not 130 is working, that's not a question.
I'm gonna try in FM mode. I'm gonna try in analog mode.
What do you want to try? FM?
Analog mode on the 130.
Analog on 130, yes, sir. KF6 WTN on 147 130 analog FM.
November 3 Victor. You are loud and clear.
Okay, that repeater is all fine. But I hate to bore everybody in here with us going through all the repeaters and checking them. But you, Thomas, are you getting a little bit of an idea of how the different repeaters work in different modes on different frequencies? And you saw the pictures earlier with the different repeaters sitting in the different racks and all their tuned cavities underneath them. And you're welcome to come up on the mountain one of these days when you get bored enough.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. It's been interesting so far. I got to look at the Echo link on my end, see if I can't submit that my license and such to them and get that working.
Yep, that'll work. And believe it or not, you can look it up by location. And if you look up San Diego, you'll find W6NWG. And then just tell it that one, and from there on in, it'll bring you back to life.
Awesome.
And it looks like Glenn gave up. He ran away and hid in the corner somewhere. Yeah, we beat
pumpkin time.
Well, we beat him up pretty severely on the mountain. It took him a few days to recover from this last trip. We were going up and down this steep hill, and it took a toll on all of us. I went home, was going to take a short half an hour nap, and woke up the next day.
Nice. All right. Well, we long ago ended the official meeting, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the live stream at this point.